Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Merry Monday Mail Call Show. I'm your host, Dave, and welcome to Still Only 35 Cents. This is our weekly dose of basically mail call books that have come in. And this week, we're going to have some UK annuals. So for those of you in the US and the rest of the world that don't know what these things are, they're hardback books that reprint US comics. For the most part, there is some unique UK material that sort of sits in some of these books, but I thought I'd share these with you today because I picked some up this week, and I've also got a host of other books, so we'll see how we go. But welcome to the show. This is, as I say, the Merry Monday Mail Call Show, and here we reveal books that I pick up through the week and have special guests. We've had a couple of really good special guests over the last couple of weeks while I've been out of the studio. Was where we had Ryan the Colossus Collector. We also had Mon Comics last week. So thank you to both of those two for stepping in and helping me out whilst I was in the middle of the move. We're now back in the studio, back in the office. Very happy to be here, surrounded by all these things. So it's been so much fun digging through and finding new books, old books, and having some fun. So new videos coming soon. It's been a little bit had a little bit of a break over the last week, but we will be back with a vengeance this week. So let's see who is here in the chat today to say hello to. So we have the Devil Flyer Momentum first, which is great. Belle's here. Hello to all who are tuning in. Please make sure to hit the like button. Thank you very much, Belle. That's very kind of you, sir. Good to see you. Of course, Vincent is here. Hello, Vincent. Great to see you. And the Comic Collector Coach is here. Are you here to see these UK annuals, Coach? But yes, by all means, hit that like button if you're around. So it's great to see you all. So without further ado, maybe we'll switch cameras and I'll take you through some of these because they're interesting books. And again, I grew up with some of these, but not a lot of the earlier ones. But it's always pleasant to see what our US counterparts think of these interesting books. So we'll start us off with this one, which is the Superpowers Annual from 1984. So this has a fabulous Jack Kirby and Royer cover as well. And you also notice on the back, it's got this amazing recreation of DC Comics Presents 26. So I think you have a clue of what's going to be inside here. This does feature, from memory, this features the basically the storyline from Superpowers 1. So the first issue, I believe, from Superpowers 1. And you can see that reprinted here. It would have cost us $3.25 when I first picked it up. But you can see, this is what I love about these UK books. Beautiful, thick hardcover, glossy hardcover with this stunning image on it. Nice hard book to have against it. And this is an interesting one. So we've got copyright 1977 DC Comics, but then we've got copyright 1984 DC Comics. So you can see here, this is that Superpowers issue 1. Written by plot by Jack Kirby, script by Joe Calavari, Adrian Gonzalez on pencils, Pablo Marcus on inks. A bit of dark side there. And then you'll note we then switch to a second story, which is, from memory, we do have a list of these stories just here. I did check them out before I think this is Brave and the Bold 186. Or maybe this is a continuation of that storyline. I think it's a continuation of that story. I think it's Brave and the Bold number 186. Treasure of the Hawks. No, there it is. So I don't know which story this is. So it switches midway through, unless this is actually still the Superpowers story, where you have a whole bunch of the different heroes. Would make sense. So yes, I believe The art style does seem to change a little bit, but it is that story. So it is actually from DC Superpowers issue 1, which makes sense because then you've got all the DC superpower heroes in the story. A little bit of damage there, not great to see. And then look out for the continuation of this story soon. Not sure where in the UK they continue. This is the danger with some of these UK annuals, is these would be one and done, and you weren't guaranteed to be able to have a follow-up story or the follow-up annual cover it. So bit of a shame that, but as you can see, it does continue in the US copy of DC Superpowers issue 2, I would assume, but we never got DC Superpowers. Got a little puzzle page here, been slightly filled in there, and a nice pin-up of Aquaman on a seahorse. This is the aforementioned Brave and the Bold 186, the treasure of Hawk God's tomb. That's Jim Aparo on art there, as you can see. So classic Batman artist. But they're just really nicely. I love the way the glossy pages. These were glossy pages before the vast majority of comics were printed on glossy papers. So it was always good to get these. And this is how I had, for the most part, my first exposure to comic books. So it's interesting that I've reverted back to newsprint, and really I'm not so keen on the glossy prints that you see in the new facsimiles. But there's a great pin-up there, Superpowers pin-up of Hawk Girl and Hawkman fighting off the dinosaurs. We've got a Superpowers poster of the Penguin there. That's pretty cool. But the last story in this one is the story taken from DC Comics Presents 26, the well-known issue that is made for, that essentially is known for having the first appearance of the Noon Teen Titans, but the front strip is this great Superman and Green Lantern story by Jim Starlin and Marv Wolfman on script. So Jim Starlin on art, Marv Wolfman on script. And I think, yeah. But as you can see here, you get the full first story, all completed with printing error on the back. So you can see here Superman in a sort of purple or pink and green cape, Green Lantern in red. So completely messed up color scheme there. So they messed that one up. But then you'd finish off with this great poster here. So that's DC Comics or this DC Superpowers Annual 1. So as you can see here, very interesting stuff. Let me just see in the chat. Come back. Hardcover's cool. Awesome. Caravan Hideout is here too. That's great to see you, sir. And then we have a super chat. I must play a super chat. So Patel Philippe, good to see you. Do cream cages bother you for silver or bronze age? Before I answer that, I need to give you a super chat video. I don't have many of them, but I will play you this one.
That's a very serious book, man.
Only 5 in existence.
I would like to thank you very much. It is a very serious book, and it's very cool that you dropped that in there. Cream pages. Do cream pages. Depends on the book. I think for silver or bronze, I would obviously prefer off-white to white pages or white pages. But if it's let's put it to you this way. Amazing Fantasy 15. Would you be bothered if that was cream pages? I probably would not. So I think that, thank you very much, as I say, for the super chat, but I would not really bother. If it was, say, if it's, again, it's an interesting one. If the condition is perfect other than the cream pages, I'd probably still be happy too. If it was a low grade, I would be a bit unhappy. But again, if I don't have that book and I need to read it, so it all depends on your perspective. I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks down below. But I've got many cream. I've got many off white to white, but I don't have too many cream to off white pages. So sound off down below. JSS is here. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Who else has we had joined since? And there you go. Yes, I think that's probably, as long as I can read it, I wouldn't care. That's probably a really good point. Okay, next on the list, we have Superman, official annual 1983. Now, I used to have this when I didn't have the Superpowers annual, but I did have this. And there's also a Brian Bolland. This is a Brian Bolland cover, made exclusively for this book. So you can see here, you've got Mongol, you've got Supergirl, Superman, Martian Manhunter, and Spectre. Fantastic to have a Brian Bolland cover. And to say that I had this one when I was a kid growing up. You get exactly the same on the back with the ISBN number on there. So really impressive stuff. Really enjoy the detail on that from Brian Bolland. And very early in the day, because he was drawing 2000 AD at this point, for Judge Dredd predominantly. But yes, this reprints DC Comics presents 27, 28, and 29, as well as a Superboy story. And you get this great image here, and I think this is Dave Gibbons as well. So you got not only Brian Bolland on the front cover doing his own rendition of this great little story arc, but you get Dave Gibbons as well doing this amazing piece for the front double page splash. So you're getting two UK greats in one. So as you can see here, Len Wein on the script, Jim Starlin, and whoever Quick Draw is. I'll have to do a little bit of digging on that one. If anyone in the chat knows, it appears that Jim Starlin and Quick Draw, not sure who that person is. But yes, it's a fascinating one. And as you can see, Jim Starlin on the art here. I remember reading this, loving this book. Great battle scenes with Martian Manhunter. And the first appearance of Mogul as well, which is good. Or Mongol, as he's known. Mogul. Where am I calling him? Mogul. Then you get the DC Comics Presents 28, I think, with Warworld, the second part, with more with Supergirl and the team up. I always remember this scene with the missile flying towards Superman, getting closer and closer and closer. And then here's your Superboy story. In between breaking up the whole issue. I'm not sure which issue that one is. A bit of a close-up on Lex Luthor there. Both the comic Luthor and the movie Lex Luthor at the time. And then part 3, or DC Comics Presents 29 in here with the Spectre. And again, loved this story. And just a really nice self-contained annual, this one. Really enjoyed it. And as I say, you got this year they had the Batman annual, which I believe is another Brian Bolland cover, and the Superheroes annual. So I'll be hunting those out because the Batman Brian Bolland cover is pretty impressive. This one is worth it just for it's just a lovely little self-contained book, this one. So loved being able to pick that one back up and have it in the mix again. In addition to that, this was included in that lot. This one I'd never seen before. I didn't even know they did DC annuals at this age. And the cover art on this is phenomenal. As you can see here, I think that's Jimmy Olsen. You've got Robin, you've got Batman, you've got Superman, the best of DC Comics, Super DC bumper book. And again, hardcover cover. Not sure where this art comes from, to be honest. I suspect that is a very British artist doing that and pulling this together. So I assume that this is brand new UK art that was created for these books. But I would love to be corrected. But hopefully, again, the kick out of seeing this. But as you can see here, you've got strips. So you've got the Revenge of Luthor Prey of the Alien Hunters, the Lone Wolf Legionnaire Reporter, the Super Dog that replaced Crypto, Courtship Kryptonian Styles. Then you have 3 text stories, I believe, and then a whole bunch of features. DC Currents, Friendly Soul, Modern Marvels, Super DC Laughing. So let's take a look through. So as you can see here, you've got a Direct Currents, which essentially is just a sort of editorial of the time. You've got a bit about Batman at the wheel. Want to see the secrets of that fabulous Batmobile? Well, basically, it's an experimental Lincoln Continental with a supercharged Lincoln racing engine developing 500 horsepower. Again, I'm not sure how accurate all of this stuff is, but very, very UK centric. So you can see here, BBC. Here is the detective in a wheelchair, Ironside, in the BBC television series, A Man Called Ironside. So completely random stuff sitting here to the left. But then next to it, you've got the Revenge of Luthor strip, all stamped with Superman DC in each corner. And then you get to see Superman meeting Superboy. So very nicely, well presented. Not the glossy pages, this one more sort of printed on paper, but the coloring's great. Then we get a text story called The Killing Job, not linked in any way to the DC heroes. Batman and Robin, Prey of the Alien Hunters. It's a nice bit of early Batman and Robin there, falling prey to the Alien Hunters. Very nicely presented here. Then you get a copy of Friendly Soul. I believe we also have Carrie's here. Good evening. No worries at all. Welcome to the show. We are going through these amazing annuals, especially these early DC ones. And quick draw from the previous annual might have been Frank McLaughlin. I'm not sure yet. Still searching. Thanks, Belle. I'm not sure either. It's going to be an interesting one. And I'm not sure why he would use a nom de plume in that instance. So back to the book here. You got to say we've got a little cartoon strip, The Friendly Soul. Superman's pals, Jimmy Olsen with Elastic Lad. So nice, great little story there too. You got Liner of the Sea, Liner of the Sky, an article on boats and airplanes. You got a DC Laughing, completely unrelated to Superman. Then we have Superman versus Samson, a text story, which obviously must have been written by the UK team rather than necessarily anyone at DC. Another Superboy story, an article on Lifeboat Rescue. A bit of Crypto in there for you too, which is good. Early appearance of Crypto in UK books. And then When Cars Like Racing, another DC Laughing. And then Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, Courtship Kryptonian Style. So yeah, I never expected to find this one. That's a picture of guns. No idea why you'd have guns in the middle of a DC book. So again, it's a nice, interesting snapshot of DC history mixed with UK annual history, and then closes us out with a Batman story called Baby, It's Cold Outside, text story, which, again, I would have imagined came from the office that was pulling this together in the UK. And then you finish with The Friendly Soul, and again, the artwork that we showed off earlier. So that's the best of DC Comics. But one I really am happy to pick up is this one. Batman and Robin, annual number 1 from 1971, I think. No, 1972. So the year I was born, this book came out. Fabulous looking cover there, as you can see on both sides. Just so striking. Super hard cover. And again, Batman and Robin, 1972. Printed in Spain, this one. 65 pence. 65 pence it cost me. I'm wondering, did we have the stamps in it? None of these have got the cutouts, which is good. Oh, the Superman does. Unfortunately, the Superman... Oh, no, it's still in place. Normally, there's traditionally a price cut out in the corner that is lost, because these were given at Christmas times, and the parents would want to cut that out so the kids wouldn't see how much they spent on them. But this one again is very typical of the time, getting a lot of text stories first from Batman. So Batman and Robin in a text story here. Look at the bondage. Poor old Robin is holed up, and Batman has to rescue him from being dropped into the ocean. Then you got a funnies page again. Batman battles the monster Man-Bats. So this is probably, I'd say, the Man-Bat prototypes in here. As you can see, we've got a Man-Bat prototype snarling outside the window, and Batman attacking them. So 2 text stories, interestingly, there. And then we get Batman Ghost of the Killer Skies, which I think is a Neil Adams art on this one. Yep, I think so. So a nice mix of sort of like these old school Batman stories with these newer ones as well. So fascinating to see this in play. Tribute to, so it was definitely Denny O'Neil on script, Neil Adams and Dick Giordano on art. And this was a tribute to Joe Kubert and Robert Kanigher. Then we get Robin the Teen Wonder Story, Panic by Moonglow, story by Frank Robbins, art by Gil Kane and Vince Coletta. So I'm sure we'll have a lot of up-the-nose shots from our man Gil Kane. But yeah, it's just a real nice mix of stories. More up-the-nose shots there from Gil Kane. It seemed to be his, I always can tell again Gil Kane story, because he always liked to look up the face so that you'd always see the nose. We've got another Batman story. I think this is another one. Maybe not a Neil Adams in this instance. Perhaps it is. Actually, I suspect it is. Yes. Very much Neil Adams style here. Or maybe Jim Aparo. But yeah, again, you can see just nice to have a mix of these different reprints in that title. And then we finish off with some puzzle books. So yeah, these are always fun. Batman versus the Mole Man. So clearly the Marvel hero or Marvel villain dropped over to DC for this issue. We've got a nice text story here and the illustration. And again, interesting mix of the 1970s Batman with the 1950s, 1960s Batman. And again, Batman tackles the Icicle Men here. So you got a Sub-Zero type person. But yeah, interesting little package. If you're a Batman fan, I'm pretty sure you would want to grab a copy of that as well. So yeah, I just thought that would be a nice one to share with you. But the ones that I've truly got that I really enjoy picking up are these ones. These are really from my child. This one, not so much. This one, I think, is from 1992. Yeah, 1992. At which point I'd lost a bit of interest in the UK reprints because I was buying US books at the time. And they didn't sort of pick very nice art to go with it on these books. I'm not sure where this art comes from. Not sure who the artist actually is. But again, you tend to get these odd pieces of UK art that you could use alongside the US reprint material. So in this one, it looks quite Mike Mignola, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. This one, I suspect, is definitely a piece of art that was done in the UK. Looks very the sort of thing that would come from a Simon Beasley, potentially. So it's a beautiful little piece. I actually really like this. But again, what you'd find is that you'd get John Byrne, Terry Austin reprints, and this one. So I think this is X-Men from memory 120, or I'd say 120, Oh no, 130, 130, 132 maybe. Who knows? I can't remember off the top of my head, but long and short of it, it reprints that great. I think it's 141 actually. Tell a lie. 141. Someone in the chat can correct me, but it's where they're back in Canada and they meet the Wendigo. But a nice little issue to have reprinted, especially with that John Byrne and Terry Austin art, and a reappearance of Vindicator there. Got a pin-up of Wolverine from Frank Miller. You've got this professional rivalry, part 1 text story, which features the old X-Men versus the new X-Men. A little mini poster there. Again, that would have been UK created art. And then the second part of that John Byrne story and the second part of that text story with new art created for the X-Men. So again, it's got some original UK art in there. It's certainly not just one whole 100 reprint, but always interesting to see these, as I say, because you did get these great little glimpses of great little glimpses of reprints alongside UK art. And talking about UK art, this is I think Steve Dillon on art here. Not sure who does that one, but again, I would imagine this is also a UK piece of art. This is Spider-Man Annual, and again, I think this is from 1980. This is 1983. There's your little price ticket, $2.75. And again, some reprints, some classic, amazing Spider-Man John Romita. I think this is the Harry Osborn Green Goblin storyline throughout this one. This is more of your standard fare in terms of how they would reprint these titles. That's the death of Gwen Stacy. And then you get the odd piece. Spider-Man TV show was on at the time, so you get a couple of shots of the Spider-Man TV show. You get a text story. Always cool to see these text stories. I should sit down and read these because they're always quite interesting, and I guarantee you they're either based off the original or they're a brand new story written by UK editorial teams. Some more Spider-Man in action there from the TV show. So this was right in the depths of when the TV show was being shown in the UK. There's another text story there. Not sure where this art is coming from, but that's pretty cool there. I think that is the same artist that drew the front cover and the interior. So it's a UK artist. I need to check out which one that is. I think it is Steve Dillon, actually. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. And this would have been in the Des Skin era as well. So would make a lot of sense. There's more of the same Spider-Man there. Some press shots with him behind bars, and then some particularly dirty-looking gloves. And then what looks like a filler page drawn by a UK artist to continue the story of the Goblin's last stand and the death of Gwen Stacy. Have a look at that. I suspect that is another piece of UK original art just created specifically for this issue here, because it's very different from John Romita's work, and I have not seen that before. And there we have the death of the Green Goblin. So there you go. There's your Spider-Man Annual 1. Another one with some really interesting new artwork in it. Then I also managed to pick up this one, which I'm really happy with. This is Marvel Presents the Captain America Collector's Edition. This is from 1981. Beautiful Jim Steranko cover. With yellow rather than the white on the back. About this book, essentially, this is a celebration of Jim Steranko's Captain America run, the great 3 issues. And so essentially, they pulled this together into one book. So you get a reprint of those classic, beautiful Stan Lee and Jim Steranko issues from Captain America, which was a bit of an unusual one. And I think for them to sort of pull this together, but as you can see, just great to have these reprints. No text stories, is my understanding, just pure, unadulterated hardcover reprint, very early hardcover reprint of these 3 stories, and so great to see them printed in this format. So almost like this is your Omni before Omnis were around. And what a choice of 3 stories to include in the annual. It's absolutely amazing. And as I say, you get the full gamut of the story throughout. So no ads, the full 3 issues. Let's just get to the end here. Beautiful, beautiful splash pages. Just presents really, really well. Beautiful colors too. So they took the colors and they're really quite saturated here. And as I say before, and then unfortunately 3 covers were drawn by Steranko for the contents of this edition. But unfortunately, so apparently 3 covers, but unfortunately we were only able to use an amended version of one on our cover. So we've used this space to reproduce all 3 final illustrations as they originally appeared. So there you have it. So I don't think he was drawing them anything new, but essentially they were able to reuse the original cover. But that's an interesting one. I like that one a lot because of the I love a bit of Jim Steranko, and that is just a really nice way to present that very, very differently. We've got Mr. McGroovy in the house. Revisiting many of my childhood Christmases. Exactly. This is exactly what we used to get. These annuals every Christmas under the Christmas tree. And this would be our introduction for the most part into comics. So yeah, these were great little cool books that many of us in the UK really used to enjoy. This is Fantastic Four annual 1980. Would have cost $1.95 at the time. Look at that art there. I think that's another one of those examples of that not being, that's not an original piece. That's an original piece of art, I think. And then again, I think this cover as well, probably from the UK team. But then you reprint the first appearance of Jamie Madrox's The Multiple Man here. You got another text story. What's interesting on this one is not full color. Some of them were full color. Some of them they sort of scrimped a little bit. This one they seem to have scrimped a bit in terms of the coloring. So these pages are sort of red and black and white. So you get a little bit of color. You've got A Shade Too Dangerous. I think that is the guy who did Watchmen. It is. I can't remember his name now. V for Vendetta, sorry. Who did V for Vendetta? Who drew V for Vendetta, folks? The name escapes me. So, yeah, you can see here they're using a lot of these different artists to create essentially new material. So this is a text story here. You can really see it there. David Lloyd. There you go. It came to my head straight off. There you go. David Lloyd drawing in here, and another what looks like David Lloyd here. Then we go back to the reprints. Now in full color, which is good to see. A nice little prehistoric Join the FF game. Let's move these out of the way so we can get a better view. Nice Join the FF on a prehistoric plateau. And then the FF versus the X-Men reprint. We get that story. I think from Fantastic Four 12. Is it 12? Oh, who knows? Then we've got a card trick. Why that fits in there, I'll never know. A little bit more of a puzzle game. And then again, another text story with another UK artist. Looks again like David Lloyd here. Yep, looks like David Lloyd. And then the battle with the X-Men reprint in blue this time. So there's Fantastic Four 1982. I only got a few more to share with you. We've got Fantastic Four Annual. This is from 1979. So this might not feature too much a new original art, because by this point, we didn't have your friend Des Skin in play. It was still Neil Tennant and the old editorial team, so Alan Murray, etc. So there might not be as much original art in this one. It might just be a few extra pieces of art. So this one has the thing cut out at the side here, so you wouldn't be able to see the price. But then someone has kindly written £1 up there. So we've got a beautifully blue looking story of the Here There Be Witches with and then a Meet the Fantastic Four page, their origin retold, then a text story called Encounter. This one's not in a great shape. As you can see here, the pages are somewhat coming away. Again, more art here which tackle these teasers. We've got a nice little Doctor Doom board game there. Might take a photo of that and put that on Insta. Full color pages of the story, the Salem 7. Got a puzzle page with the Thing, which has been completed. Where Walks the Wizard. Another text story for you. Fantastic Four Salem 7 reprint. And then you've got, here's a fantastic mask to make, no less. So I'm not sure I would want to wear a blue-green Thing mask, but nevertheless, I'm sure some of the kids would have cut up their comic book or cut up this annual just to make that mask and wear it. Then we get another Fantastic Four text story. We've got a colouring page there, which has had a little bit of colouring in. There's the Salem 7 in all their glory. And that's your lot for Fantastic Four Annual 1979. This one I used to own. This one I loved a lot. This is Marvel Presents the Superheroes Annual. This is from 1979 too. I remember having this one myself at Christmas. I didn't cut the price out there. But you get this great John Buscema to Hela and back. Len Wein and John Buscema story. Fabulous. I remember reading this when I was a kid. Just absolutely loving the art here with Hela. Submariner's Fishy Tales. I remember these. But they are true. We've got a nice one of the Silver Surfer Gather Ye Witches. Again, beautiful John Buscema art there. Just so much fun seeing this with the Abomination, which is probably why I love that Abomination issue so much, because I remember this as a child, reading this, and just fabulous seeing this massive beatdown of the Silver Surfer versus the Abomination. Always remember, I forgot this, the little Thor and Human Torch dice game. So looking forward to that. Forgot how good that was. That's just awesome picture of the pair of them. And then finish off with a Submariner Stanley Roy Thomas story with Mary Severin on art to finish the book off. And if I remember rightly, there is a pretty crazy... No, I thought there was a huge splash page, but there isn't. But there you go. Superheroes Annual. Very, very good to be able to pick that up and have that back in the collection, because I remember that having that as a child, loving every minute. And that cover is fabulous as well. Again, I'm not sure where that comes from. I'd love to know if that was originally created in the US office for the UK team. So I have comic issues here. It's good to see you. Hello, welcome. Derek's here as well. Love the X-Men one. Thank you, sir. Very good. Who else do we have? Bell, what did you say? I have an idea of taking coloring book to Edmund Expo and getting artists to do commissions in the book. I found anime style coloring book, which I might experiment with, artists willing. That sounds like a good plan. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I bought a copy of the Marvel Tryout book, and I'm going to be getting all of these different inkers to ink pages from the Marvel Tryout book. So stay tuned on that one, and maybe fill out both of them with some original sketches as well, because there are some original pages. So that'll be an interesting one. See how that plays out. But I like your idea with the coloring book as well. That sounds fascinating. If you can find an original coloring book, would be great. This one is Marvel Superheroes. This is from 1978. Still got the owner's name at the bottom here. Where you got like Thor, Silver Surfer, Spider-Man, and then you've got a John Buscema, Dick Giordano story from the Mighty Thor, bit of a text story there, and then reprinting this Thor story with Hercules there. You got Spider-Man's web game. I always loved the games in here. They weren't like sometimes you'd get the original US games that you'd get printed, say, from Fun and Games, Marvel's Fun and Games. Then you get these crazy 1960s style games that have come obviously from the UK and just been repurposed with a little Spider-Man in the corner. Nice little Spider-Man story. Then Sal Buscema and Mike Esposito with Len Wein on writing duties, a whodunit story. So good. Spider-Man would have had his own annual at this point. So why he's floating around in the superheroes comic book is a little bit. You could have picked another title. We've got the Ghostly Gimmick, a little mind trick there. Bit of an overview on Stan Lee. A text story for the Silver Surfer. And then the classic telling of when Silver Surfer and the Human Torch meet in the original Silver Surfer run. So John Buscema art on this one with Stan Lee on story. But as you can see here, beautiful art. Great to see this one. And this closes us out before we help the Silver Surfer find his way through the maze. So great stuff there, picking that up as well. Wouldn't be complete without this one, Captain Britain Annual 1978. Now, this one holds a very special place in my heart because I was a big fan of Captain Britain. This was, I think, just a year after his first appearance. And so this features, I think it's from 1978. Look at that. This was, I think, mostly appearing in the 1978 annuals. This double-page splash intro on each of the books with the various heroes around this sort of border. I really, really love that. We'll probably post that on an Instagram at some point because it's just such a cool thing. And again, brings back so many memories for me in terms of, though that year in particular when you were reading the annuals and you'd open this up and this was the first thing that greeted you. The Captain Britain Annual 1978 basically retells the first 5 issues from Captain Britain. So it's essentially the first appearance, reprint of the first appearance of Captain Britain. And then you get the odd, beautiful little poster like this one here. The order changes again. Avengers keep marching on. So there's a new Avengers line up there. But then there's issue 2 of Captain Britain, where he takes on the Amulet of Might and becomes Captain Britain. Dark Reaver takes on the sword and becomes Dark Reaver. Interesting colorization there. Then you get the Captain Britain pinup. And then you're straight into issue 3 there. So all colored specifically because these were mostly in black and white. So these were colored for this edition. And you can really tell that these have been colored in the UK in probably felt tip to be perfectly honest, by Alan Murray, of all people, for this edition. Then we've got a nice Marvel Masterwork pinup of Nick Fury, Agent Shields. That's Steranko cover there. Issue 4 with Hurricane attacking Captain Britain at, I think, Heathrow Airport, or was it Gatwick? I can never remember. No, Heathrow Airport. Havoc at Heathrow. And we get a pin-up of Doctor Strange there. And that's your last one. So for those of you who don't know, Chris Claremont was actually the writer on the first 10 issues of Captain Britain in the UK. And the reason why he got the gig is he had lived in the UK or been born in the UK. So that was his qualifier. And so similarly, Herb Trimpe too got the gig because he had lived or spent some time in the UK. So interesting choice of ways to get them to decide who was going to be taking part. Got a Fantastic Four issue there, or Fantastic Four pin-up there. And then we finish the story of Captain Britain there before we see that wonderful back page splash again. But yeah, I love this one because it's a really great self-contained story. The first 6 issues, of Captain Britain. Great little annual to have in your collection with a really nice, as I say, beautiful frontispiece that is always fun to enjoy. Fish is here. Hello, Fish. Hi. How you going? Couple more, and then we'll call it quits. This one has a very, very special place in my heart. This is, I think it's Hulk Annual 1978. Yep, 1978 too. This is one of the first annuals or comic books I ever got. And not this particular copy, but this book itself. So I really love this one. Always remember this frontispiece. As you can see, it's very different to the Captain Britain one. I have seen this before. I think this was used in the US. So this would have come from Marvel in the US. But has the price ticket disappeared? Slightly coming apart here, but still just great to have this. And this one's a good one because I think it reprints Hulk Annual issue 1 and a Defender story at the back. And the reason why I know this is because it's this amazing Inhumans story, which was a big inspiration for me to doing sketching. So this is Mary Severin, Gary Friedrich story. So I think it is from that annual, Hulk Annual 1 in the US. But I pored over this book as I found it absolutely fascinating with the Inhumans and the battle in the gladiatorial sort of Colosseum here, and Black Bolt, and the battle between the Hulk and Lockjaw as well. Just fascinating stuff. And Lockjaw teleporting the Hulk back to Atalan. But just I loved watching this and reading through this book. And yeah, it brings back such great memories. And I now need to track down a Hulk Annual 1 just to see how it was originally printed in that comic book, because I would absolutely love to get my own copy of this. Just such great art from Marie Severin here, very dynamic, and as I say, this sort of got me really into wanting to do art. So just a great book. I always loved that panel with the invisible person there and the gun floating with the shadow, very cleverly done. That's supposed to be someone invisible. It was a very clever touch. Black Bolt versus the Hulk. And then to finish, this one's really good. Keith Giffen on art here. And again, this is another one that I really loved the art on it. And I was, blown away. This beautiful battle between the Hulk. That panel in particular always impressed me, with the Hulk battling Submariner there. The faces on the Hulk are truly horrific, from Keith Giffen, as you can see here. But yeah, I thoroughly remember this. Loved it. Enjoyed watching some of the artwork there with Valkyrie. So yeah, looking forward to rereading that. And there's your beautiful splash page again. And then to finish us off, 1978 was the year, or 1977, 1978 was the year of Star Wars. So we have the Star Wars Annual #1. Again, Marvel owned the rights here, so adapted. And this is essentially got some beautiful sort of photos here telling the story of, a bit of a profile on Alec Gillis, a bit of a story profile on Mark Hamill. And then we get a reprint of Star Wars through all the issues, minus the sort of cut down version, minus the splash pages or art credits, but essentially retelling the whole Star Wars story in this one annual, perfect for Christmas. And again, this was another one of massive inspiration for me. I had the comic books as well as this, so it was great. I used to draw a lot of stuff based off these, but I thought I'd share these with you. Got a profile for Carrie Fisher there, Harrison Ford profile, a bit of some Ralph McQuarrie art, some behind the scenes photos. Yeah, nice little book to finish us off with. Star Wars Annual #1. I did in that lot get 2 of them, so at some point I might see what we can do for a giveaway. But yeah, I thought you would love to see those, all those annuals that I picked up recently, and take you through them, give you a sense of what we would see in the UK, and hopefully you enjoyed that. Star Wars glory, yes, Belle. So all good to see you. Just seeing who else has joined us. The Kilted Corgis here. No Desperate Dan, but I'll settle for Star Wars. Oh, well, I wouldn't have any Desperate Dan, sadly, but yes, Star Wars will have to do. Really cool to see you all. I'm going to make this big. There we go. It's really been good to see you all. I'm back in the studio, feeling back at home. Hope you enjoyed that today. If you've got any memories, particularly my UK fans out there who love their UK books, let me know what was your favorite annual that you remember. Love to hear from you there. And yeah, if there's anything you'd like us to cover on the Merry Monday Mail Call show in the future, let me know as well. It's been great seeing you all. It might be a little bright on the screen here, but it's been great seeing you all. Great to be back in the house and great to be back in the studio. We will be back next week with some very interesting stuff to share with you, as there's been a lot of new deliveries whilst we've been away. So I will let you know very, very shortly. Stay tuned for a very interesting video coming to the channel. I will give a little bit of a tease. For those of you who stay to the end, we will be showing off this. So stay tuned for that. And with that, have a great week. I will see you next Monday. Take care of yourselves and hope you all have a great comic week.